Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for the day. I am Bobby Hune, and let's queer up trans rights. Anti-LGBTQ Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene pushes nationwide ban on trans healthcare. On Tuesday, the House Judiciary Committee advanced a controversial bill from far-right Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene that would outlaw gender-affirming care for trans youth nationwide. The so-called Protect Children's Innocence Act, also known as H.R. 3492, passed along party lines and now moves to the full House. If passed, this bill will criminalize puberty blockers, hormone therapy, and surgeries for transgender minors, and punish those who provide or support such care, including doctors and parents, with prison time. It will also block federal programs from covering gender-affirming care and prevent medical schools from teaching about it. Greene declared the committee vote, quote, a huge win for kids in America.
Hi everyone, I have really great news. My bill, Protect Children's Innocence Act, just passed through the Judiciary Committee. Big thank you to Jim Jordan. Big thank you to Harriet Hageman. They did a fantastic job. This is a victory for children. We have to protect their innocence. We have to allow them to grow up. They can choose who they want to be when they're adults, but there should be no medical industry that mutilates their genitals, gives them poisons, and permanently changes their bodies. Next thing we have to do is get it through Rules Committee and then get it to the House floor for a vote for final passage. This is what we campaigned on. President Trump wrote an executive order to criminalize sex changes on kids, and this is the will of the American people. Stay tuned for more.
But Greene's vicious victory lap might be premature. The bill still needs to clear a full House vote where Republicans hold only a very slim majority, and it faces likely defeat in the Senate where filibuster still applies. Well, first of all, I would say a lot of things about MTG. None of them I can say on air. and you know, this is once again a distraction from real issues. They cannot fix inflation. You know, tariffs is going to jack up the prices nationwide. But, you know, let's stick it to the 5 trans kids that we know are going through transitions. This is never about regulating children's health. I mean, and not about mutilating either. I mean, millions of boys get circumcised every single year. No one said that, you know, you cannot circumcise boys without the explicit say so. And frankly, let me see, anything, makeup is gender affirming. Let's say breast implants are gender affirming care. And any other, and what are you going to tell someone if they're intersex?
Yes.
I mean, if there's intersex, what are they going to tell them? Oh, you can't pick one. You're born that way. So I guess.
Well, let's remember, intersex communities have actually been violated by the medical community, where doctors used to just pick that gender for children back then. Like that's an important part of this entire story. I think, you know, if we want to protect children's innocence, we should affirm who they are and let them figure out their identity and go work with their doctors. If she doesn't want kids being poisoned, I'd like to know what she's going to do to investigate the current HHS secretary, Mr. Kennedy, who thinks we should start using bleach at the health.
Well, I mean, if you repress children, it's just going to lead to something worse. It's just going to lead to trauma, you know, and a lot more damage when they get older. So just let them be free. Sorry.
And also, like things like puberty blockers and hormone therapy are not intrinsically gender affirming. They're just actually leading them to develop puberty later so that they can actually have an informed decision to whether to transition. Once you take off puberty blocker, puberty proceeds as, you know, it is essentially beneficial to children who want to make their own decision down the road.
And there are examples, Jazz Jennings, you know, she just graduated Harvard. She seems to be doing very well, and she has, you know, maybe one of the things she's considering in her career track is going back to television, and hopefully she'll be able to be a leader in the community and representing positive role models for the trans community.
Well, God knows Caitlyn Jenner's not one of them.
Well, I mean, you brought up a good point. I mean, this does have wider ramifications in the medical community. I mean, one, they're meddling in education again, which they're like, let's disband education, but in higher education, we're going to tell you what to teach and what not to teach. You know, these hormone blockers, that they do have other medical uses. I had a dear friend, trans male, and he found out that he had higher testosterone levels in his body already naturally, so his transition was much quicker, and there were a lot of medical things that they didn't know, and they're now learning. And he actually has his PhD in trans identity and does and I went to some of these, and it's amazing to me because I had questions and I educated myself. Children, very young ages know, and to be able to help them and guide them. And not only that, when did the government start to step in and tell parents how to parent? And that's what this is.
Ironically, this is the party for small governments, right? Just small enough to fit in your bedroom, fit in your doctor's office, fit in...
Right. Well, this is the thing where Marjorie Taylor Greene's a better politician than people realize. Trump's already signed an executive order. The Republican Party is probably going to find a way to pass this sort of legislation. And, the scary thing is there's a group of Democrats like Seth Moulton of Massachusetts, for those that want to call their congressman, has tried to say, oh, well, the trans issue is what cost us the election, which is, of course, a myth. We all know that. It's a myth. But, I fear that some Democrats will join the Republicans on this. And then in the Senate, Republicans seem to be very good at passing stuff without worrying about the filibuster. So I'm very scared that this will pass. And I fear for the kids that it'll affect.
Well, that's the thing. This whole tagline, protect the children, and I mean, they're attaching it to everything.
Yeah.
Because I mean, to parents, your child is definitely something you want to protect. However, the government's telling you how to protect that child instead of letting you protect the child to your best ability.
When you jingoize something like a phrase, like, this is anti-Semitism, this is to protect the kids, or, any other phrases it essentially loses their meaning. Because, if you really want to protect the kids, shut down every church. Because you know what? Every day, the clergyman has been arrested for explicit materials, or touching kids, or being inappropriate to women, or even outright, SA and other horrible things they done to kids and women. And somehow, that you tell people to go to church every Sunday.
I was going to say, go look up the sex offenders list and tell me how many trans people are on there. Tell me how many drag queens are on there. Tell me how many, LGBT. It's
zero.
Yeah. Well,
zero.
I can't comment on that, but I think we can all agree that the best way to protect our kids is to keep them away from Donald Trump.
Yes.
100%.
Absolutely.
And that is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing queer news tonight.
I knew Don.